Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting right into it. We're looking at the whole situation brewing around Jorge Martin and his Aprilia racing contract.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just a headline, isn't it? There's a lot going on beneath the surface.
Absolutely. And we're going deep using insights from Motorsport by Alex. They've got some really good angles on this, looking at team stuff, contract details, the works.
Gives us a proper inside look, which is crucial here. Helps us see it from, well, all sides.
Exactly. So for you, the learner, our job today is to cut through the noise. Why is Martin possibly looking to leave Aprilia already? Seems incredibly soon.
Right. And what happens next? What are the ripple effects going to be across the paddock?
We'll break down the timeline, look closely at that contract clause everyone's talking about, and weigh up the different viewpoints. Hopefully you'll come away with a much clearer picture of this whole developing saga.
Okay, so maybe we should start with how he even ended up at Aprilia. Context is key here.
Good idea. Let's rewind to 2024, Martin with Pramac Ducati. He was flying, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. A proper title challenger, showed everyone what he could do, even on a satellite bike.
And his contract situation back then was already interesting. He had that option, potentially a big pay rise, if he just stayed at Pramac.
Yeah, so staying put was a viable, potentially lucrative option. It wasn't a simple factory or nothing situation even then. Highlights the complexities from the start.
For anyone maybe less familiar, a satellite team, they get bikes and support from the factory, but they run kind of separately.
Exactly. Then, boom, Marquez enters the picture, heading to the factory Ducati team.
Which kind of slammed the door shut on Martin getting that factory Ducati seat, didn't it? Despite his performance.
Completely. That definitely shifted his path, a major factor in what came next.
So with Ducati looking blocked, he makes the move to Aprilia. And the report suggested it was mostly about the bike, right? Staying competitive.
Yeah, sporting reasons were apparently key. He wanted a bike that could fight at the front. And, you know, having Alexis Spargaro there, someone he knows well, probably helped smooth things over.
And Aprilia, they were pretty pleased initially, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. They framed it as a massive win, like a masterstroke. Getting a potential champ, maybe for less money than some other big names. Lots of positive spin.
Right. But that initial positivity, it seems to have hit a wall pretty quickly.
Definitely. Which brings us to the tough start he had, and this clause, the Le Mans clause.
Let's unpack that. His start with Aprilia wasn't smooth at all.
No, far from it. A couple of big crashes, injuries during testing, and then right away in Qatar.
So he missed races, missed crucial time on the bike.
And crucially ended up with 0 championship points, put him on the back foot immediately.
Which leads us to this performance-based release clause. What exactly did it say, according to the reports?
Well, the gist is, it apparently allowed him to leave if he wasn't a top contender by the French Grand Prix, Le Mans.
And with 0 points. Technically.
Technically, yeah, he met that condition, even though it was because of injury, not because he was slow on the bike when he could ride.
And the timing. Motorsports by Alex said he actually told Aprilia he planned to use the clause during the Le Mans weekend.
That's the report. A very quiet, lightning visit, apparently. Kept under wraps amidst all the race weekend chaos.
Wow. So Aprilia gets this news, probably not what they were expecting, and they're not just accepting it.
No, definitely not. The reports suggest they're pushing back, looking at legal options even.
What's their argument then?
They seem to be saying the clause was about performance, actually riding the bike and not being competitive, not about being absent due to injury.
Ah, okay. So they're arguing his injury should basically make the clause void for that period. That triggering it now is a breach of contract.
That seems to be the core of their counter-argument, yeah. It's a tricky legal point, isn't it? Does not being a top contender cover absence or just poor results when present?
It really does. Because the outcome is the same. He wasn't high in the standings. But the reason is the point of contention.
Exactly. It highlights how these clauses can be interpreted differently. Doesn't the exact wording, I suppose.
And has Martin's side responded to this resistance?
Well, there's talk of a counteroffer from Martin's camp. Reportedly, he suggested extending the evaluation window, pushing it back to Misano, the San Marino GP, in September.
Okay, so that shows maybe some willingness to still see if it can work. A bit of respect for the situation.
Perhaps. Or maybe just a pragmatic step given Aprilia's stance.
Yeah.
But yeah, it suggests the door wasn't slammed shut instantly from his side, despite triggering the clause.
Still, it sounds like things are incredibly strained, even before he's really had a chance to race properly for them.
Extremely strained. It's a bizarre situation, really. Deep issues before the partnership has even properly begun.
And is it just about Martin and his injuries? Or are there wider issues with the Aprilia bike itself?
That's another layer, isn't it? Motorsports by Alex points out that the other Aprilia riders, Bajecki and Oliveira, they've been struggling too.
Okay, so it's not just Martin's lack of track time.
It suggests there might be something more fundamental with the RSGP 25 riders complaining about. What was it? Instability.
Yeah. Reports mention issues under braking, lack of front-end feel, and problems getting the power down smoothly out of corners. That sounds problematic.
Especially compared to the Ducati he was so strong on last year. That's a bike known for its stability and drive grip.
And apparently, even the test rider hasn't pinpointed a clear fix.
Lorenzo Savadori, yeah.
Yeah.
If the test rider is struggling for direction, it does indicate a deeper issue.
And you can see it in the standings too, right? Aprilia's dropped down in the constructor points.
Definitely. It all paints a picture of a team facing some real technical hurdles right now, beyond just Martin's situation.
Okay, let's flip it. Try and see it purely from Martin's viewpoint. What's his motivation here?
Well, remember how he left Ducati? Feeling a bit overlooked, perhaps snubbed is the word used, when Marquez got the nod.
Right, so he goes to Aprilia expecting to be the clear number one.
Exactly, the undisputed leader.
Yeah.
Build the team around him. That was likely the expectation.
But instead, he gets injuries, a bike that seems tricky, maybe some internal shuffles. Romano Albiziano leaving is mentioned too.
Yeah, key technical figure moving on. Add that to the lack of results, the bike's perceived instability. You could see how he might feel if the project isn't what he signed up for, not aligning with his championship ambitions right now.
So it's less about the money, more about the winning.
Seems that way. For a rider like him, at this point, winning is everything, feeling like you can win. And his manager putting that exit clause in. Well, that was foresight, wasn't it? A safety net if things didn't pan out sportingly.
Okay, so if he does leave, where could he realistically go? The rumor mill must be buzzing.
Oh, definitely. Honda comes up a lot.
Honda,
Yeah.
Really? Given their current struggles.
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive short-term, but think long-term. 2027 regulations are coming. Honda needs a top rider for that rebuild.
And their current riders, their contracts are up soon.
Into 2025, yeah. So vacancies are opening up naturally. Maybe Martin sees Honda, with their resources, as a better bet for the new era, even if 2025 and 2026 are tough.
A calculated risk then, betting on the future regs.
Potentially. What about going back? Could Pramac be an option?
That would be quite the story arc.
It's been mentioned, especially if Pramac gets more independence, or maybe switches bikes. Yamaha, perhaps. And apparently he left Pramac on good terms, didn't burn bridges.
So not impossible. And Yamaha themselves, they've liked him before.
They have, but their situation seems a bit uncertain right now. Maybe less likely than Honda or even Pramac. Hard to say.
But the common thread seems to be positioning for 2027.
Absolutely. That feels like the strategic play behind whatever move he might make, gearing up for the next big shift in MotoGP.
And what about Aprilia? If they lose him, that's gonna hurt.
Oh, massively. He was meant to be their guy, right? The rider to take them to the next level, prove they're truly elite. Losing him now would be a huge blow to their project, their image.
And sponsorships, future investment, especially with 2027 looming.
Exactly. It can make attracting sponsors harder, make justifying the huge R&D costs for the new regs tougher. A real setback.
And it forces a scramble for riders too, presumably.
Yeah, they just look at Trackhouse, their satellite team, maybe poach someone, or dip into Moto 2. Not ideal when you thought you had your star secured.
Plus, you mentioned KTM's financial situation. Does that put more pressure on Aprilia?
Well, it just highlights the intense competition and the financial stakes involved in this upcoming 2027 arms race, as people are calling it. Losing your star rider now is bad timing.
So we circle back to this standoff. Aprilia thinks he's leaving unfairly. Martin feels the project isn't delivering.
That's the crux of it. And Aprilia's current play seems to be just refusing to accept the clause activation because of the injury.
Which sounds like a recipe for lawyers getting involved.
It really does. A legal battle helps nobody, drags things out, creates bad blood. Definitely a risk here.
So what are the most likely ways this actually gets resolved based on the paddock chatter?
Motorsports by Alex lays out a couple of main paths. One, Aprilia pulls out all the stops. They try to fix the relationship, throw resources at the bike, give Martin everything he needs in the next, say, 6 races, and convince him to stay.
Okay, the reconciliation route. What's the other main one?
Martin leaves, probably heading to Honda. But that might not be simple either. If Aprilia digs in, Honda might have to negotiate some kind of buyout to get him released from the Aprilia contract early.
Right. paying to get him out. And there was a third, more unusual idea.
Yeah, the sabbatical idea. Marty takes time off, fully recovers, physically, mentally, skips maybe the rest of this season or even next, and just focuses entirely on being ready for the 2027 bikes and rules.
Like Fernando Alonso did in F1 for a bit.
Exactly. It acknowledges the toll racing takes, especially with injuries, allows for a strategic reset. It's unconventional, but maybe not crazy given the circumstances and the looming rule change.
And quickly, the social media side. Anything interesting there?
Well, mostly notable for Martin being relatively quiet, while everyone else, Marquez, Bagnaia, Aldegor, the usual suspects, are posting normally, creates a bit of an information vacuum around him.
Although he did just announce that helmet design contest for the MotoGP game.
Right. Which is interesting timing. Does it mean he's definitely planning to be back racing soon to wear it? Or is it just a pre-planned commercial thing? Adds another little layer of ambiguity to when he'll be back and what his plans are.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this deep dive up. What are the main things for people to take away?
I think the main thing is, this is messy. You've got injuries, a bike maybe not performing as hoped, and this really contentious contract clause. It's tense. Could end up in court, and it's definitely shaking up the rider market.
Yeah, for me, the big aha moment isn't just rider wants out. It's seeing how high the stakes are, how performance, contracts, trust, ambition, all these human things collide in this high-pressure world. It's not just about lap times.
Which leads to a good question for you listening, doesn't it? How do you value a rider? Is it just their last few race results? Or is there potential, especially with huge rule changes coming in 2027?
Put yourself in their boots. What would you do if you were Martin right now? Or if you were running Aprilia, trying to manage this? Something to chew on.
Definitely. Hopefully this is giving you a bit more depth than the usual news sound bites. It's a story that's clearly still got a way to run.
Indeed. Keep an eye on it. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.